Hello everyone, Skystriker here, back with the Stanley Parable Deluxe Edition. Now, I actually went and checked a few things. Apparently, there are no console commands in this game, so that means there is no serious room ending. Which is very sad, actually.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Now, I did look up a few things. Apparently, there is a way to get to that area with that in the warehouse with the,
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Anyways, there is a way.
Yes,
Shut
truly a
up.
room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Anyways, as I was saying, in the warehouse area, there is a way to get that little collectible over there, but that was also an ending. I actually went and checked that out. Apparently, that is an ending.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
This. I don't know if this was in the original game, though.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
Guess we can. Anyways, this... Apparently this is another ending. And I don't remember this from the original game.
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path.
Shut up.
It seemed the office had begun.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights.
Turkish
How
delight?
much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
No, it's all your fault. Anyways. Okay, so that's a little special ending that I did not actually think was gonna
All of his
be a thing.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had
Now,
simply
the
missed a memo.
steps for the next ending, it actually requires you to go to the...
When Stanley came to a set of
I
two
don't
open
remember that
doors,
music.
he entered the door on his left.
Anyways, as I was saying, you have to go all the way up to the office to help get a part of this ending, because it requires you to
Coming
click
to a
5 different
staircase,
terminals.
Stanley walked upstairs to
One of
his
the terminals
boss's
is
office.
all the way up in the office over here, and it would be right. Hold on, that's not right. Did I do something wrong? It is, I mean, I got
All of his
two
co-workers
inputs.
were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
What? I literally just... There we go. Input okay. I'm sorry, I actually think that
All of his
happened
co-workers were
because-
gone. What
Shut
could it mean?
up. I don't
Stanley
care.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Alright, so the input received, I think this actually resets when you close out the game. So, when I ended up closing out the game to check how to do console commands in this, apparently it reset my progress.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Wait, he's never seen weather? Oh, that proves that he's been in purgatory this entire time.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Alright, so in total we just have 2 more endings. I just want to...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley
Prep this
walked
real
upstairs to his boss's office.
Now, there should be 1 in here.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
Hold up. No, this doesn't seem right. There should be a computer around here. Get well someday. Oh, it's right over here. Anyways, let's go to that. Let's go to that one ending that we didn't get a chance to check. Actually, hold off. Give me 1 moment. I'm gonna go and check something real quick.
It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
You know, I actually grabbed the bucket because I did realize there is 1 ending I'm missing. But also, it's a place I didn't look for the last figurine.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Should be here.
And there it is, the last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that.
Oh, fuck
so,
you.
Instead, I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Well, it looks like someone, who pissed in your coffee this morning? I'm pretty sure it was his dog. No wonder, no wonder he's been disrespectful to me this entire time.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Oh. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket.
I was about to say.
The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all.
But it's
That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! the bucket. Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
Oh.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along.
Oh no, I am the bucket.
Painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Oh, never mind. I thought I was the bucket.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Let me guess, did she have
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Backflipped all the way to work. Yeah, I don't think anyone can backflip all the way to work. The amount of energy that requires to do so. Anyways, before we get that last ending...
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines. Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Okay. Now remembering when Stanley found the collectibles. Let me guess the short one as well.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain?
It's gonna say
we
7.
were so innocent.
Watch, it's gonna say
We'll
7.
never be like that again, Stanley.
It says 7 to 6.
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around by the red and blue doors. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember? Hey, that's exactly right. It was here in the boss's bathroom. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
I'm sorry, was that supposed to be a
Let's see, what came
joke?
next? Oh yes, we found a Figly in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened. This was the 5th mini-stand, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Oh, great. That
Takes
better
you back,
not be
doesn't it?
copyrighted.
I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else. And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine. Right here, under the stairs. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figly and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Let's see.
And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
Oh, well, I mean, I did get... Oh, you didn't respond about...
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels. Okay, yes, that spot under the stairs. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
Great, he wants more.
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
Really, stop it! I don't care for your video.
Yes, I love that video. Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
Yeah.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Now let's see.
This was our second Figly. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Oh,
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then. The time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm... Oh, yes! The 2 doors! Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one. And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office?
No,
There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Oh, well, that's gonna be the ending. Oh, wait a minute, that's right. We don't have enough. I just realized we don't have enough time. Sorry, we're gonna have to leave this for another time. Anyways, if you like the video, make sure to leave a like, comment down below what you thought. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.